Hello, greetings. Welcome to Attaining the Second Cognition. This is Doug Michael. Thank you very much for taking your time, yet again, ladies and gentlemen, to spend with me. I truly appreciate it. The thing that so many don't seem to notice on their path towards cognitive advancement is that we rise and fall at the same time. That is to say, that as we are hacking and slashing at the underbrush to reveal the path forward, such as eroding beliefs and coming to terms with a HAPIM mind virus, we fail to see that with all the destruction taking place, that we are actually advancing. And oftentimes, it is only in hindsight that we recognize this, which brings me to the topic of this discussion, recreating oneself after cognitive deconstruction. Our cultures, particularly Western culture, is conditioned to always acquire more, to get. And unfortunately, many people equate this mentality with cognitive advancement, operating under the illusion that advancement or enlightenment is simply about bringing more knowledge into the awareness and failing to realize that it is far more a process of letting go. Cognitive advancement is a deconstructive process, a falling away of beliefs, ideologies, concepts, and ideas that no longer serve you, i.e., your PSOYCA. The ego identity is shaped by the first cognition world, literally programmed to identify with its concepts. So the eroding of systems, ideas, and beliefs adopted by the HAPIM program is like losing one's very identity, but it is a false identity. It is not the true self. It is in the destruction of these things that the magnitude of the true self is revealed. It's already there, it's just smothered and overlaid by the HAPIM virus. When the veil pulls away through the deconstruction process, we can begin to realize our primary consciousness. It is not something that is acquired, it is something that is revealed. This requires an enormous leap of faith, certainly not faith in some external source, but unshakable faith and trust in oneself, and trust that the process of deconstruction reveals our PSOYCA to us as we progress. Herein lies the problem for so many people. We're conditioned our entire lives to not trust ourselves, to misplace that trust and to give it away to some external authority, be it a god, a system, a government, traditions, or any other of a myriad of distractions laid out for you to keep you running in circles. The HAPIM hacker program in your mind convinces you to seek out that which props up its identity, its false personas, and to gather that which satiates the senses, the lower instinctual drives, and caters to the baser instincts of the form. The HAPIM shouts loudly, blaring its trumpets in discordance, drowning out the quiet voice of the primary consciousness, your PSOYCA, which has always been there, ever present and ever patient. Proudly glaring down from its false throne of superiority, Tyrant King HAPIM metaphorically holds its reins around the neck of the self, ever tightening the noose, feeding the inner schism cut off from the primary consciousness, the PSOYCA. How does one even begin to gain a glimmer of this primary consciousness? How does one reveal to oneself what one does not even know is there? How does one reconcile the inner split? How does one gain the observational perspective to see the HAPIM at work within their own minds and to identify the tapeworm that twists itself around the consciousness? Like any parasite, the HAPIM is very skilled at hiding within the host, at remaining invisible even though its machinations are on full display. The cognitive erosion process of destroying the HAPIM virus consists of placing everything one thinks they know under intense scrutiny, challenging rigid dogmas and beliefs, and shining the spotlight onto everything that we've identified with and bought into. The vast majority of people operate in first cognition, living within the perceptual world of what's been told to them, programmed and indoctrinated into the consciousness generation after generation, plodding along in an ever-destructive cycle of HAPIM perpetuated sickness, oblivious, and never critically questioning. To question one's programming is a sin. Go along to get along, do as you're told, don't rock the boat, you can't fight City Hall, and above all else, obey, obey, obey. It takes enormous dedication and commitment to engage in the necessary introspection to discover the autopilot program that runs human consciousness. It takes further commitment to deal with it and begin the deconstruction process of letting go of the false identities and the simulacrum that has shaped our very world. It is a process that far too few have developed the courage to engage within themselves. In other words, it takes balls. It takes unbending intent to overcome this viral Hapim adversary that has stolen our bodies and our minds. This deconstruction process brings pain, both psychological and emotional pain. It brings loss of everything that we hold dear within our belief systems, loss of the Hapim's superficial identity, and loss of friends or loved ones many times. What we fail to realize is that when we are experiencing the pain of this loss, we are also losing that which holds us back, that which has held us prisoner, and the loss of identity is the shedding of the skin of that which is false and does not truly serve one's highest potential. You are not losing your true identity, but the false identity that the Hapim virus has convinced you is you. The pain of this loss is too great for so many that they will never experience the healthy loss of that which keeps them bound in perceptual chains to this hateful mind virus. I use this metaphor to describe what I'm getting at. I want to be a beautiful, glowing, shining piece of pottery, but I don't want to experience the fires of the kiln. It is far too painful. It will burn, and it will cause suffering and pain. What you have to realize, ladies and gentlemen, is that the pain you will feel as you go through your process of deconstruction is pain generated by the Hapim virus itself, seeking to ensure that you don't break the spell of the virus's enchantment, making you believe it is you. It taps into your emotional center, and it makes you feel fear, and it makes you feel sorrow and loneliness as you strive to remove its control over your consciousness. It uses your own body and your own emotions against you in order to maintain its infection over your consciousness. If you don't like how you feel as you take on this Hapim monster, then be wise enough to blame the virus itself for your discomfort. Gain the wisdom to see and know that every bit of the discomfort you feel as you work to deconstruct the illusionary perceptual world of the Hapim virus is the work of the Hapim itself, and use your resolve to punch through this abuse of your own body and your emotions at the hands of this invading cognitive virus. If you are unwilling to endure these travails as a necessary part of reclaiming your own consciousness from this viral identity thief, then you will never become that beautiful work of art fired through the kiln of travail. You will simply be that lump of clay that didn't go through the difficult experience of what is required to mold you into that beautiful work of art. This simple metaphor of the pottery and the kiln exemplifies the fear of the deconstruction process. Many people say that they want advancement, but when they discover what is required to achieve it, they run the other way. This is understandable, especially when we don't see the rewards at first, and the idea of becoming a blank slate scares the living shit out of people. You mean I have to create myself? Oh, hell no. I have this or that to define who I am. I've invested quite a lot into my perceptions about myself, and now I'm supposed to lay them to scrutiny? I don't think so. Hey, what's on TV? How many people have ever honestly asked themselves in a contemplative manner, why do I believe this or that? In the vast majority of cases, we believe what we do because we've been conditioned to and because we've been told what to believe by others. Whether through cultural programming, religious indoctrination, education, media, or what have you, we are programmed to see reality in a particular way, and the simulacrum molds our perceptions from birth. We've also been conditioned to feel emotionally and psychologically safe and secure in our ignorance, not knowing we are ignorant, but that feeling of safety is the preference of most people, and it is the comfort zone of the Hapim itself that keeps us complacent. Stepping out of the defined reality to create our own path is met with enormous backlashing from the system, and humanity acts as its own gatekeepers, with Hapim-infected hive members pulling one another back in line. Just try detaching from the herd and witness the outcasting, ridicule, and scorn that you receive from the crabs in the Hapim bucket while they tug and claw at you as you try to free yourself from the confines of the pail, or hive, as it were. These false realities and personas that we take on create an image which we project onto others and the world. It is a false image, but the first cognition wears it like a badge of honor. The entire first cognition world is a projected false image, an illusionary false reality, a simulacrum. The majority, it seems, does not even grasp conceptually that there is something outside of this cognitive box of limitation where so many exist. To them, there is no greater reality. Everything is as it appears on the surface, and that includes their ideas about themselves. The entire simulacrum is, night and day, molding the participants to fit into the restraints of cognition that weave around the consciousness, convincing you that you are less than, that you are small and powerless. Keeping a lid firmly placed upon human perceptions and diminishing potential through psychological control of first cognition minds is the name of this game. It is a game of abject tyranny in which the participants do not even realize the cognitive restraints that anchor their consciousness within the first cognition. The chains remain invisible. The German poet von Goethe once claimed that none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. This is what makes the simulacrum so pervasive and keeps it hidden in plain sight, the illusion of freedom and choice. The game wouldn't work without that, but if every choice is already decided, then how free are you? The game is rigged. The deck is stacked against you. I feel strongly that the way to free your cognition from all of the perceptual snares is by removing all that is false. You take away all of the lies, and what remains is the truth. This is called deconstruction. Again, your primary consciousness is already present. It is just masked beneath layers of perceptual programming. So it is in the process of the removal of these programs that the self can be revealed. The hapim is a false construct, an overlay upon the body-mind consciousness of the form that convinces you that all of the programs, the perceptual illusions, and personas are you. Ideologies, belief systems, poisonous perceptual worldviews, and false ideas about oneself are encouraged and embraced willingly as the hapim seeks out the hive in which to cluster with other herd members. The greatest fear of this virus and of the entire simulacrum is the individual who has cut through all of the illusions and stands within the knowledge of their own selfhood, self-assured, and within the fullness of their own potential. The individuated consciousness that is self-realized, self-actualized, self-defined, and self-created is the greatest threat to this system of cognitive enslavement. A consciousness free from the hive mentality of the hapim virus is the greatest threat to its existence, for it has no power over those who have the strength and unbending intent to kill it within themselves. When one kills the virus in their own mind, they become immune to its further infection once it is totally eradicated through the painful process of deconstruction. Reaching the second cognition is the antidote. It is the cognitive antibiotic that makes one totally immune from this infectious hapim invader that masquerades as your consciousness. The simulacrum thrives on suffering, imbalance, and disharmony. Like any parasite, the hapim destroys its host. It consumes that which sustains it until there's nothing left. The simulacrum is the collective projection of the hapim hive virus, and very soon we will witness it implode upon itself as it collapses under its own weight. From the ashes, we are left with an opportunity to create something entirely new and different, something that we've never had before, a world without tyranny in which personally responsible, cognitively mature humans becoming thrive in the spirit of cooperation, living in balance and harmony with the planet that sustains us. Book 3 of the Handbook for the New Paradigm trilogy, Becoming, spells this out. It is time that humanity realized that in order to save themselves and their planetary home, it is time to take up the mantle of responsibility and stand forth in their own power. In order to do this, fear must be put aside. Fear cannot be conquered. Those are words that tie humanity to what has held them in bondage. The very verbiage of the language contains programmed intimidation. Words of war such as conquer, vanquish, threaten, superior, force, intimidate, capitulate, etc., keep the focus on competition rather than cooperation. Mankind on planet Earth will only transcend this situation when cooperation becomes the byword of all interaction. It is contemplating how humans can stand forth in their own power that is the question. This is particularly true when considering the overwhelming organization and power that is being wielded by the controllers and their pawns. However, it is at the basis of this entire situation that the key is found. Humanity has allowed itself to be placed in a position in which it cannot match the opposing force's chosen focus of power. It must now find a totally different approach. The one thing that a human possesses that cannot be taken away, though methodology is being developed to attempt to do this, is the thought process. Even those that have experienced mind control techniques involving incredible experiences are often able to regain their autonomy of thought. It is the combined, cooperative focus on a simple concept that can and will place humanity beyond the situation that now surrounds it and threatens to overwhelm it. It is within the conscious choice to acknowledge the situation, leave victimhood behind, and cooperatively focus on an ideal of experience that this power is available to mankind. When a consensus can arrive at this point, then a direct appeal can be made that will bring forth assistance, and there will be an end to the current control of this planet. However, the victim-abuser consciousness must be transcended, or the process will be repeated until that knowledge becomes wisdom. Releasing victim consciousness will not be an easy transition, for it is deeply ingrained within the population of this planet. It is an important element to be held in the forefront of future considerations. The Becoming book also informs us. It has been ingrained deeply within the consciousness of mankind that they are the servants of their God of the moment. Over the long space of time since mankind has been elevated into self-awareness, those on this planet have been held in servitude and have been subject to the whims of the controller's interactions between themselves. Further, as the manipulated progeny of these same beings, these attributes of contention and competition are a part of this heritage. In truth and reality, these deep-seated tendencies of competition and the use of violence to resolve the inevitable friction that results from this focus has served neither the controllers nor the enslaved. Both have remained over eons of sequential time stuck within the victim-abuser mode that has blocked both from evolving. These passages reveal perhaps the most important step in the recreation of oneself, which is the transcendence of the victim attitude and the standing forth in one's own power as personally responsible beings. As I've stated, the answer lies within PSOYCA, personal sovereignty over your cognitive advancement. If you are not responsible for the direction of your own conscious evolution, then you will be corralled and misguided straight over the edge of the cliff, along with every member of the human race who chooses not to deal with the Hapim virus in their own consciousness. We always seem to look outside of ourselves to be told what to do, to look to some external authority to light the way, and we can see just how well this has worked through our long and bloody history. It's no different with people seeking cognitive advancement. When it comes to recreating oneself, how can you look to another to give you the answer? That would not be self-creation. No one else can tell you who you are, and no one else can save you. No one can show you who you are because your uniqueness would be compromised if they did. I think that there is a great fear of this idea of self-creation. It puts all of the burden squarely upon your shoulders. The second cognition is more than a concept. It is a pragmatic and real solution to destroying this invader Hapim virus in your mind. Kill the virus and you finally discover who and what you really are. Fail to challenge and defeat the virus and you will simply be another member of an infected hive that will only continue down the same road of greed, self-aggrandizement, personal selfishness, and ultimately potential species destruction. The second cognition is the doorway out of the Hapim-controlled human trap, but that door is only going to be open for those who can kill the virus in their mind through unbending intent, impeccability, and personal responsibility. Without these three mandatory traits, no one goes through that door, and that door is going to remain heavily guarded to keep Hapim-infected individuals from gaining access to what the new paradigm offers humanity. This is the mandate: either rise to the occasion or stay living in your Hapim-infected herd mentality, first cognition world, subject to the whims and orders of your presumed authority figures. When you face the fear and anxiety that the Hapim will throw at you through manipulating your form and your mind, you're going to find that those fears are nothing but an illusion, a paper tiger that has no substance beyond what the virus makes you feel. This is how you transcend the fear the virus manufactures in your own mind and through controlling your emotions. When you face these fears and transcend them, you will find yourself wondering why you let this phantom called fear rule your consciousness all your life. When that happens, you will be pissed off as hell, and deservedly so, because this virus has kept you roped in through illusions and fear of things that never existed, except the fear of the virus itself, to maintain its control over you and to avoid detection. The next step in human evolution is PSOYCA, personal sovereignty over your cognitive advancement. Kill the HAPPEEM. Only you can kill the virus in your own mind. No one else can do it for you. We are here to encourage you to do just that, for it can be done, and the person you find within after this deconstruction of the illusionary world of the HAPPEEM virus will absolutely amaze you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for taking the time to listen to Attaining the Second Cognition. It is greatly appreciated. I extend my gratitude and my heartfelt thanks to any and to all who take the time to open their mind and to push forward in their own cognitive advancement and willful evolution. Once again, thank you so much for spending your time with me. This is Doug Michael, and until next time, walk in peace.